Pressure is mounting on President Obama from all sides on the high-voltage immigration issue. Embattled Senate Democrats are facing tough challenges in red states, are pressing for no action before the midterms. They don't want to do anything to upset their chances. But the Hispanic caucus and others are crying for reform. They want action now to mitigate the child migrant crisis and the larger issue as well. Joining me now from Chicago, Democratic Congressman Luis Gutierrez, chairman of the Immigration Task Force of the Democratic and Hispanic caucuses, and a member, of course, of the Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Immigration. That's a mouthful. Congressman, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, as always, Andrea.
I know you met with Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and you came out saying that the next 30 days will determine whether or not this is a legacy issue for Barack Obama. This against the fact that others in the Democratic Party, senators, for instance, in red states, say that he could lose the Senate if he pushes ahead on immigration right now.
Well, first of all, I think, Andrea, we should put good public policy and serving the people first, and justice and fairness first, ahead of political considerations. Look, Andrea, I've been a critic of my own party. We took over the House 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. We controlled the House and the Senate, and we had the presidency, and we didn't act, precisely because we were afraid of the political ramifications and losses that the Democrats might have. Look, enough of that. Let's put the children first. Let's put marriages first. Let's put our agricultural industry first. Let's put our high-tech industry first. This is not a surprise to anybody, Andrea. The president said, if there is a lack of action on behalf of the Republican majority in the House of Representatives, I will act. He was very patient. They said to him, oh, we want to do this piecemeal. You remember the president said, okay, we'll do it piecemeal. They said, we're not going to conference on the Senate bill. He said, then draft a better bill than the Senate bill. I mean, he said, everybody can't become a citizen right away. Okay, we won't walk away from the table. But each and every time they made a suggestion, we're moving forward to reaching a deal on immigration reform. In the end, the speaker called him up at the beginning of July and said, I'm just not going to do anything about it. So the president has a responsibility to act.
What do you hear he might be doing?
Look, here's how I would see it, right? Now, I'm going to give you my view, and this is based on what I think legally and responsibly the president can do, and what kind of given my conversations at different levels of the federal government, both within the legislative and executive branch of government and the legal community. I think the president's going to pick a date. He's going to say, let me see, of the 11 million undocumented workers in the United States, if you've been here 10 years and you've established roots in your community, you have children, you've been married, you've been working, very important, you can go through a vigorous background check, provide us your fingerprints, register with the government, and show us that you've been working and you've been behaving. I'm going to give you a 2-year permit to work in this country, and I'm going to free you from being able to be. And I think he's going to look at what are the considerations of the high-tech industry, right? They need manpower, and it's not being provided because Congress won't act. He's going to say, wow, the farmers. Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
farmers are going to need help.
Well, would you add a path to citizenship, and then how would you rebut the charge of amnesty?
I want a path to citizenship, and that's why it is preferable for me for there to be a legislative solution. But Andrea, I didn't come here to pat myself on the back, but it's going to be pretty hard to find anyone that's worked harder than I have in building coalitions and being respectful of the Republican majority in the House of Representatives over the last 2 years and trying to put a framework together in which we could vote on. And, you know, and I know there are many wonderful, dozens of wonderful Republican members of the House of Representatives that want to do it. But the Speaker said he won't do it for political considerations. You know, there are a dozen very anti-immigrant, xenophobic members of the House of Representatives in the Republican majority that just have a stranglehold. We cannot have that. Andrea, I think what the president's going to say is, look, there are people that have established themselves. I want a legislative solution. You're not giving me one. And there are people that have been here 10, 15. If the president chose the year of 10 years, you've got to be here 10 years, you've got to be working, you have American citizenship. If he picked that 10-year, it'd be over 6 million people. We need to understand that the undocumented community is well established in the neighborhoods across the city, across our nation. And so I'm hopeful that the president will pick a date. I'm hopeful that it will be millions. I believe that many people have said to me, and this is the context of the legacy, Andrea, they said, well, hasn't he already written his legacy? I said, no. It's going to be in the next 30 days. What he does is going to be the legacy of the president. Our high-tech industry, our farmers, they need workers. 7 out of 10 of those people who break their backs every day in the fields of America are undocumented workers. It's time we gave them a chance to register with the government. And very important, I think, with the new threat of ISIS, with the fact that there can be 100, maybe more, and there are hundreds of other people who can travel to the United States from other European countries, right? Shouldn't we just bring these people out of the shadows, have them register with the government? We know who they are. We know where they live. We know that they're behaving themselves so that we can use our enforcement, our homeland security enforcement, to prevail against other threats against the homeland.
Congressman Luis Gutierrez, thank you. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Andrea.